So I'm in Cubase Pro 9 and I'm going to do a video here where I'm going to try to put together a track idea by using audio in the arrange window. So I'm not going to use any virtual instruments. I'm not going to use a drum machine or anything like that, which is my traditional way of doing stuff. And I was listening to a track today that made me think perhaps this is a method that's going to give me something that I just under normal circumstances wouldn't be able to do. So it's a theory for the moment. I'm going to see whether that works out. I've got some kick drums here in the list on the media bay on the left hand side. I'm going to listen to some. Okay, now I've got my speakers on today. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to try and make sure that when sound is playing from the computer that I'm not speaking. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Now what I'm looking for is basically a kick drum that's quite short, because I want to complement this by having a kick drum that's longer at certain points. Okay, now I'm going to drag this on. So this is a audio file. It's just going to copy it to the working directory. A couple of things to bear in mind when you're using Cubase. You can see up here the recording format is currently 24-bit. Okay, 24-bit is a great bit depth to be working at, so I'm going to go with that. You can see here the original sample is 16-bit, so it's going to take this up. There's no harm in actually doing so. So I'm going to do that. Let's get it up there. Let's zoom in. So we're going to be able to see the kick drum. And my theory, and this is probably the reason why a lot of people do this, is that the visual aspect of this is really going to help with something that I'm going to do soon. Okay, so for the moment, I'm going to call this kick drum. So that's there. I'm going to have that on every beat. Now, let's just take a look. If we're going to drag this, we want to make sure that the grid is set to something that we can work with. All right, so at the moment, if I pick this up and drag it, you can see I'm restricted. So it's basically only allowing me to make a copy at a bar. We come to the top right. Here's the reason why. Let me take that to beat. So what I'm going to do is just pick this up and drag on every beat. It's going to take me a little bit getting used to this approach because it's very different to what I would usually do. So I've got myself 4 beats here, and one of the things that I like about Cubase is instead of having to drag all of these around, if you look at other DAWs, generally what you'll see is people doing this and really trying to get the arrangement together with loads of very, very small elements on the screen, which is really messy, I feel that's kind of hard to work with. Because I came from the MIDI world, I was used to having MIDI parts and MIDI notes as events contained within. So I like to use the same kind of concept with Cubase, right? So just going to set the right locator up here and double click. And you can see what's happened is there is an audio part with audio events underneath. So that's what the diagonal shading is about. So if I just right click here, going to come to glue and just going to do this for all of them. So we can now see that we have a 4-bar part. This is an audio part, which I can very easily copy. I would even go so far as to say I would glue these together to create an 8-bar part. Okay, so that's an 8-bar part with audio events within. So I'm double clicking here. You can see those audio events down here. Now I'm going to have a listen. Okay, see what this is like. I think actually I'm going to need to bring my fader down because you can see on the waveforms that it's right up to the top, up to 0. So it's generally, I would expect that it's going to be loud. Okay, so let's have a listen. Okay, that sounds good. So I said to you I wanted to get a contrasting boomier kick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search in the media bay for 808. And let's see what comes up. This is just generally everything that's 808 in my library. So, do you know what? That could be perfect. So what I'm looking for, right, is the ability to embellish my kick drum every now and again with that kind of a boom. Now, under normal circumstances, if I had this on a virtual instrument, a sampler, for example, I'd be triggering that kick drum on, say, C1. Then I would load up a boom sample on C#1 and then try and trigger that on top. Now, The thing is that we would end up with the two occurring at the same time, and that meant that there could be a clash in the bottom end, in terms of the mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and integrate the two together so as if they're one kick drum. Okay, so that's an idea that I've got, and it's going to illustrate a concept that perhaps actually could be translated to a sampler as well, but I just don't think it's going to be as visual. So I'm starting to get why some people use the elements in the arrange window. So it's the benefit of seeing stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this kick, and let's take this over here. So once again, copying it over. Now we get a sense of the different sounds. One of the most obvious things is the length. You can really see the difference here. So this boom actually occurs over the duration of 4 kicks that are playing, which is, it's going to sound messy, isn't it? Now I'm going to attempt this as an idea. I'm going to zoom in. And what I'm going to try to do is place this 808 boom after this kick here. So I'm going to take my snap off, I'm going to bring this over, and it's great that we can see that line, which is helping with the alignment. I'm going to take the transient of this kick and place this 808 boom just after. The other thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to shorten it, and I'm going to apply a fade. Okay. So the idea here is that I'm embellishing this kick drum with some extra kind of sub weight afterwards, so we get a comparison between the two. So let's have a listen and see how that feels. I'm just going to set up the right locator here, and let's see what happens. Now that was a really obvious delay. Sounded a bit rubbish, to be honest. That's definitely not what I want. So I need to do some work on this. So I'm going to try and find this. It's a little bit messy in terms of the way that I'm navigating at the moment. I'm still getting used to some of the key commands again after using some other doors for a while. So yeah, this is too much. So let me just try something here. What about if I apply a fade? Let's see how that feels. How was that? Now that sounded really good. So I've got myself what feels like an embellishment to that kick drum. So let me just try something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click. So that's created the MIDI, the audio part. Going to glue. And then I'm going to take this, Command D to duplicate, or Control plus D if you're on PC, of course. Going to flip onto that glue again. And I've just pushed the number key on the keypad on the QWERTY keyboard to do so. There we go. So I think I've got myself something that's working there. That was the theory, proven, I think. Let me just put this down to bar. Let's take the right locator. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. I like that. I think that's working. Something tells me, though, that there was a slight timing deficiency with the first one. I just want to double check this. All right, so I'm just going to zoom in. Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Now, maybe I didn't get my duration correct. Yeah, look at this. Okay, so this is something that's really important to bear in mind when you're working with Cubase. Make sure your parts are the correct length. So what I didn't do was do that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to rectify that mistake. I'm going to select all of these. Let's just reference that kick again. Feels like I could just bring this earlier, but remember I've got my snap on, so I'm going to take this off. Okay, that's better. So now with the snap on, let me turn this into something. A couple of bars in length, duplicating, selecting all, using the glue. I like that. I think that's working nicely. Okay, so those two, let me just get this named. That's my starting point. Just going to reduce this over here, just 2 rows. So what else do I want to do? Let me see if I can find another kind of boomy texture. Okay, I like that one. I like that. So let me maybe put this somewhere over here. Once again, I think we'll need to use that theory. See how clear it is for aligning everything. This is great. Really, really good. Now, I wonder what I need to do here. Let's move this over slightly. Let's apply a fade again. Let me take this and make it shorter. Let's audition. Okay, and again. It's so funny, you know, it's when you're working on speakers, it's a very, very different experience to working on headphones. I'm really used to working on headphones and having that kind of intimate connection with the sound. I'm feeling that my timing isn't right on here. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys to tears with this, but it's important to get this stuff right. That's good. Let me just turn up my speakers this side. I've got quite a noisy road outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that coming through the mic. Timing on this one feels wrong again. Let me just check something. No, that's good. I think it's just my ears playing tricks on me. So anyway, look, I've got myself something I can double click again. I've got myself an 808 kick 2. It's all nicely laid out here. Let me just glue these together. So you can see here the advantage is I've got these 8-bar chunks that I can duplicate really easily. All of the containers, the contents are the same. It's just the fact I've got a container of 8 bars in length, which makes it much easier to see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to color this. I like to color my drum elements and music elements differently. So that really helps. Let me remind myself where I do the colors. Let's come to the mix console. These selected. Let's do the orange. There we go. All right. So what do I need next? Maybe I need another kick drum. I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's just keep this vibe going. Maybe not 808 kick. Let's just do kick in general. Whoa, that's a little bit heavy. Now, I quite like the idea of having an acoustic kind of kick coming in. I've got no idea whether this position will work. Let me have a look. Maybe I'll put this in the gap. Okay, well, look, I totally lost my place here. That was really, really totally too far later. Let me just have a look. That was a lot of things all together there. Interesting texture, actually. Interesting texture. I quite like that. That's got... Let me just bring this over, actually. This could be quite a good alternating approach. Now, traditionally, I love playing things in, that whole kind of physicality of programming beats, but there's something about kind of sitting and clicking, you know? There's a different kind of vibe. That's what's going on here. Let me have a listen. sorting the volumes. Yeah, I like that. Just for safety, I might roll off some of the lows here. So this is another technique, of course, to allow kick drums to sit together. Let's roll off the low frequencies. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good. All right. I need some other sounds now, don't I? So I'm just going to say here, acoustic kick. Just make it tidy. Let's type hat. Oh, it's actually quite nice. Let me bring this in. I suspect it's going to be too loud. Let me bring it down. So put that on the offbeat. Of course, my grid's set to beat. I need to use Quantize this time. Let me just do this so it's not every offbeat. Let me see how this feels. There we go. So I don't want to have to try and judge where all the others are. That's going to really bore me. So instead, I make a 1 bar part, duplicate, just keep that going all the way through. Up to here, glue that, and then this one. Let me instead just take that and duplicate that over. Notice that I've just reduced the loop length here, because otherwise it's boring to have to keep waiting for that at the moment. I'm just going to build up some more hat elements. Okay, so there's a concept forming here of this kind of alternating kind of vibe. All right, see how this goes. I wonder if I could get a totally different sound. So note this is on the same track. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, the one thing I'm going to do is shorten this. I don't want the overlap occurring. Let's now take this and now look, the overlap is here. This is quite interesting. So what I'm going to do instead, let's do something a little bit creative. Let's take this and see that's overlapping. Let me take this over here, double click. So I've got myself something that loops but allows itself to go across that bar point. So the overlap is still there on that hat. That's the whole point of doing that. It might mean it gets tricky to arrange overall. Let me maybe just shorten it there. So we've got ourselves a 8-bar section that accounts for the overlap on there. But then kind of stop short up here. That could be a really nice, interesting texture because the fact it's going to be short just at the transition when it comes back in the loop. Let's have a listen. Now, technically, they're almost like closed hats because they're very short open hats, but they feel like open hats, all right? So someone might be going, well, what's Danny doing? They don't really sound like open hats, but I'm just calling them open hats. They feel kind of open, but they're just short open, okay? All right, let me get a snare. Whoa, okay. That's got a real kind of old R&B kind of vibe to it, hasn't it? Let me bring this on. Let's see. Let's bring that down a bit. Sounds like it's going to be quite loud. Once again, we're going to zoom in. Get maybe a 2-bar section. Now this one, with Quantize on here, I'm just going to place kind of like late. Let me just undo that. Let me pick this up. Maybe here. What is my Quantize actually? Somehow I can't see it. The way that the toolbar's set up. Quantize is here. Somehow it feels kind of obscured. Let me just take some things off. There we go. All right, let's put 16 back on. Let's move this over. Okay, so I want that there. Make a copy over here. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Double click again. So this is to create that part. I'm going to glue. So that's snare. 1. Yeah, because I'm going to get another one. You like this? You know what? I like the fact if I could do this, it's going to get that repetition going on. That feels right. So we can see here that we've got this kind of visual approach to arranging the audio parts with the events combined within. So these here need to be duplicated and glued. And so they're ready. So I like the vibe on that. I like the vibe. Let me take this back to bar. Let's lock that right locator in. Yeah, I like it. So what am I going to do? How on earth am I going to get like a musical element on here without playing it in? I'm so used to using instruments to do so. I'm going to probably try and cheat by saying bass, see what comes up. I don't want to loop here, by the way. So I don't know what these are. Ah, okay. I wouldn't usually pick that, but I'm going to just see out of curiosity. Now, I can't obviously put that on at the same time as my 808 booms because it's going to be messy. There's going to be an overlap, basically, low frequencies. Let's put this down to beat, I think. Let me find a gap. Why don't I just take my 808s and this, put this near them so I can see what's going on. So basically I want to make sure that this is not occurring at the same time as a kick. So once again, it's that visual approach. I can see it. I'm selling it myself, this whole concept of the reason why people do it. I mean, actually, this is an instrument, right? So it's not going to go with those drum colors. What color did I use there? There we go. So this is a bass sound. And let me see. Okay, it's gonna be too loud. Of course, let me bring this down. And that for me feels a little bit, I don't know, I'm not quite down with that just yet. I might actually stop that there. Maybe that leads into a bass kick. Let me come back to the beginning, get some context. I like that. I'm not sure whether the growly kind of thing is really me, so let me just try an idea. Let me get this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to say here, bass. I'm going to filter this, okay? So I'm going to drop in, filter. Dual filter could be actually spot on. It's a really simple Cubase filter. It's low pass on one side, high pass on the other. So if I do this, let me just focus here, focus, let me bring this over. Let's have a listen. I'm going to keep this on loop, all right? Yeah, I like that. I think that's quite nice. It's a lot more subtle. Just can bring the level up to compensate for the fact that I've taken away some of those highs. Okay, that kick just felt too much. I'm going to bring that down. Let me find another bass sound. Let me see. I quite like the second half of that, and because it's audio, I could just use that second half. You know, this is going to work out real nice. So let me see. Whoa. Okay, so that's actually got a vibe that kind of suits what's going on here. Maybe I place that over here. Interesting. This is a very, very different way of composing, but I'm down with it. This is working. So actually, let me bring this one down. Let's get this going with that family of that color. And same with the audio track down here. I like to do a bit of housekeeping. Keep my kind of color house in order. Okay, that's good. It's working. Okay, this is good. Let me try something different then. So it's a little bass vibe. It's not quite a bass line. Let me try chord. Now these are recordings of chords, of course. And if I was on the sampler, I could transpose them up or down. But I can also do so with the audio events. Let me have a listen. I'm going to put this on and see how it feels. Okay, so literally just copying that in. I think I want to match the key of that bass, see how that feels. So I can drag this. Let me put it quite close to that. And you see up here, we've got this information line. I'm going to take the transposition of the audio and just say -1. I don't know, it's a guess. And the algorithm. You've got different choices here. Loads of different approaches. So this is kind of like doing that real-time time stretch kind of vibe. And what I'm going to do is just go for pitch. I'm going to see how this feels. Okay, there was a nice texture there. I'm going to bring this up. I liked that. That was good, actually. Let me just listen again. Yeah, wicked. Actually, that works. So you can see that I transposed the audio part -1. All right, and that fits really nicely. Let me just glue these together. So slightly different approach there, but still does the same thing. Creates a part. Duplicate. Let's get some color on here. Yeah, I like it. I like this vibe. You know what I'm going to do though, because there's a big space there. I'm going to drop in Black Hole, which is like a real lovely, very spacious reverb from Eventide that I bought. I'm going to take this to, I don't know, 39% mix. Let's have a listen. Wow, you feel that space? Make it a bit bigger. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm kind of conscious of the fact that this is going to take me a long time to render, and also a reasonable time to upload as well. It's getting kind of late. Look, it's Wednesday, 10:10 in the evening, and my housekeeping's going a little bit messy here. That's what happens when you start getting into this stuff. So what I'm going to propose is one more thing that I'm going to show you. I think this is going to work. Let me get Shake It up. Okay, I'm going for something quite simple here. I'm going to drag this on. Strictly speaking, it should be going up on my drum section. I'm going to really zoom in here, right? So let's get right in. Let's do this here. Grid 16, come down to Quantize. Let me get this snaps tidy. Let me just do 4 of these. Okay, so 4 audio events. I'm going to set this one up to the normal volume. I'm going to take this one down and this one even lower. Okay, so what am I doing there? -5, maybe -6 dBs. -3, 0, -3. So replicate this. So whatever this is the same as this, and this is smaller. Okay. Let me solo. I'm going to select these, push P. Not enough of a volume variation there. Let me just bring the overall fader down. I need this one to go more. So let's say -12, -6, and then this one be -12. Even more, -21. Let's replicate that here, -21. This one, -12. You ready? Have a listen. Okay, can you hear that? That's got that real kind of shaker kind of vibe. So we've got different volumes of the shaker. I think I could do even more. Let's say -60, -21, -60. Too low on the -60. What are you doing? There's a big jump. You can see that here. Okay, I think that's the best we can do. -31. Yeah, here we go. That's good, but I think relatively this one's a bit too loud now. Let's just adjust that. And that's nice, a little kind of fine-tuning kind of vibe on that shaker. this one, I want to give a little bit of a splash reverb. I'm going to do this as a send. So just coming over here, add effects channel to send one. And I'm going to go for reverb. What did I just choose there? Revelation. Okay, that'll do. It's one of the two reverbs with Cubase. That's too much. That's nice, but notice we've got some pretty hefty low frequency energy here. I wondered if I could hear that. I'm just going to roll that off. And also, personally, I don't like things to be too crispy up the high end. I'm going to roll off at 16K. Now I like that. I think that's working nicely. So I'm going to glue these together. So we've kept the relative volumes. Okay. So you can see here this whole kind of concept, like I was saying, it's creating parts. So I don't have to make loads of copies of very small events. And each time I'm gluing these up so that basically I get 8-bar chunks that are easy to arrange. Okay. Right. Let's see how that fits. I might have to adjust the overall level. Ha! Of course it's looping over that section. Let's push P. That's good. But actually, do you know what I want to do? I just want to try this, yeah? I want to see if I can get the thing swinging. All right, so the parts at the moment are just these 8-bar parts. Inside, there are the audio events. And what I want to do is quantize them. So the beauty of this, this is something that you can do in Cubase, is to select all of these, come up to quantize here, and let me just choose the right control. Just reminding myself how to do this. Okay, so look, I've got swing here. At the moment, that's not affecting anything. But if I push auto and then adjust this, can you see all these events are moving? So we are swinging. Any of those even numbered positions in the 16th grid are moving to the right. Let's see how that feels. That sounds wicked. That sounds really, really good. So if you can't tell the difference, right, let me just show you something, right? I want to do this. I'm going to take all of this lot and get rid of them. I'm going to take all of this and duplicate. And over here, there's going to be a transition. I'm going to set that up as just straight up 16s. All right, so quantize. Let's have a listen so you can really tell the difference. All right, so we've got swing into straight. All right, you ready? Let me just zoom in a bit. Let's do 1 bar, which is swung, and then 1 bar, which is straight. All right, have a listen. Maybe you're not getting enough space to really groove with that a bit, so let's do these 2 bars. Here we go. Okay, I like both, but I just wanted to demonstrate that you can take all of your audio events and quantize them as well. So anyway, that's it. Nice to be back in Cubase for a bit. I haven't used it for a little while really, and nice to just use audio in that arrangement. Something that I don't typically do, but I think when the time's right, a certain vibe, it's a great way to do it. You've seen the benefits there. Okay, all right. So look, if you have any questions, just give me a shout in the comments below.